In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord, in Amen we trust, in Amen we think, and in Amen we will continue forward forever as the 144,000 within the Republic of Mentellect. Good evening. This is your host, Indira Mendez, on Mentellect Radio, and today's date is February 15, 2018. On a Thursday evening, and tonight's topic is going to be about the follow-up of New Establishments in Bronze Men and Women Union Part 2. So please be advised that this is a 30 to 45 minute talk show, but this is an audio recording. Okay, so very briefly, what I talked about last week's show was basically about the whole purpose of relationships, and I talked about how bronze men and women can establish a pure union between each other, and then I also talked about very briefly about the difference between unconditional and unlimited love. However, on this talk show on tonight, I'm going to be able to elaborate a little bit more on the difference between unconditional and unlimited love, along with conditional and limited love, the difference between the two. Okay, so before I begin, I wanted to talk about relationship status. Okay, this is very, very, very important, when it comes down to people making decisions and choices to establish or even build a relationship with someone. The status is very, very important. And just as much as the status, the level of respect that the individuals have for themselves and towards the people that are involved is also just as much as important. Okay, so relationship status. The question is, what is the meaning of each relationship status? Now, when you say that you are single, okay, single just basically means that you're not involved with anyone, but you have the option of dating other people. And, dating other people don't necessarily mean that you are giving your body to, for women, that you're giving your body, sleeping with the men or whatever the case might be. Dating them basically means that you are collecting data on them. And if it's, whatever data that you collect on them is of interest, and you choose to go through a courtship, and that person is taking you out on dates and they're courting you, basically getting to know you on a personal level, so usually single just mean that you are by yourself, and there's nothing wrong with being single, because a lot of times, sometimes that's the best way to ever be than actually being involved with someone, especially when you are not clear on what it is that you want, or you still feel that you have other options and that you want to live your life per se, especially if you're a younger person. You don't really want to think about settling down with no one or making that decision to settle down with anyone. So single just basically, like I said, just mean that you are to yourself, that you're not involved with anyone, but you have other people that put stipulations on being single. Like, you might have people that are friends with benefits. We all know what friends with benefits, whereas you're doing extra stuff that people that are involved in relationship, that boyfriend and girlfriends would do, but y'all don't necessarily have any commitment or any boundaries with each other. It's just whatever, is convenient for y'all. That's whatever you do. That's what friends with benefits do, especially when they try to own their independence of being single. So it's no commitment or no reliability there. It's just whenever the wind blows their way, that's when it, happens. And like I said, that's, what most people, like to do. And then you have other people that are basically involved in relationships, but they try to portray as if they are single. 9 times out of 10, some people say that they do it because they like to flirt, but at the end of the day, it's the reason being goes deeper than the surface. It just basically mean that the person is not necessarily satisfied with the person that they are actually with. If you have to continuously, flirt and continuously lead, women or men on, and this is just something that you do, this is just a habit. It's not so much of a, a thing of preference or anything like that. This is just a habit of what people do. Now there is a such thing as harmless flirtation. Harmless flirtation is when someone give you a genuine compliment, and it doesn't go past the extremes of, oh, you are sexy, I can't wait to do this, or insinuate things. Like, there are boundaries when people do things, and especially when you go beyond just certain points. It's not even harmless flirtation anymore. It's just extreme flirtation where boundaries is not even limited. Okay, so involved is basically when you could have a girlfriend or a boyfriend that you are actively involved with on a day-to-day basis, along with courting someone of a mutual interest. So this goes beyond just you just being single and owning your independence, but the fact that you are with someone and you are sharing, quality time. You're sharing, your personal space. Just sharing intimate parts with each other. That means that you are actually involved with that person when you are getting to know them, especially if you are courting them and you're taking them out places, and not just places, but you're building up the communication, and you're being able to spend quality time with each other. Things of that nature just goes to show that you are actually involved, especially when longevity is put on the fact of you being involved with that person. Now, for you to be a girlfriend and a boyfriend, it's not always promising that it will turn into a union, but at the end of the day, the experience is well worth the time of you being with the person, because you never know what can come of it. Like, how there's a saying that some people say you can't help who you love, but at the end of the day, you can help how you love the person. And sometimes some relationships is just don't mesh with each other. So therefore, sometimes you just have to love the person enough to let them go for your own well-being. Staying may not just necessarily be the thing to do in a relationship, especially when the person is not trying to change their habits, or not even trying to change their outlook or respect of you on a different level. Okay, and even as I talked about in the last week broadcast, where I talked about how you have people that will be committed, or not even committed, but loyal to the relationship, but not necessarily loyal to the person. So in other words, what I basically mean by that is that they can do all the right things in a relationship, or what they think or they feel is right, but at the end of the day, it's just a compensation for what they are actually lacking in terms of making that relationship more abundant than opposed to the person not really paying attention to the relationship or the person, but they just trying to do things to compensate for the lack of whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, so that's what I basically mean by that. So when a person is committed to you, they are committed to you and the relationship. Whereas, like I said in the other broadcast, if they ever came up against temptation, whether it be a man or a woman, they will think of you. They will think about you. How would this affect you? And not just be on some, okay, well, I'm going to do me. What they don't know can't hurt them. They won't do that. They will consider you and consider the love that they have for you, and they will be true to that, true to themselves. That's a part of being true to themselves, when they know that they love and care about the person that they with. When you have people that just like, I'm going to do me, I don't care about the other person's feelings or how they feel, it's about me and about what I'm doing right now. Those are the type of people that don't have no considerations at the end of the day. They don't have no respect at the end of the day what they do. Now, they might feel like they're getting into mutual agreements, but at the end of the day, there are principles and certain principles that, and respect that people just don't cross, or just don't do. It's just not in them to do. But the fact of the matter is that when you have, certain people permitting things, or, allowing things to be permissible, knowing that they are involved, this is why things get led on to other things. And, a lot of times you have, men that like to do that a lot, along with women. And I feel like those types of people are the only people that are not really satisfied in relationships. Okay? Just like for the woman, no matter what you do for her or whatever the case might be, she's not going to be satisfied with it, or satisfied with you. The same point for the man. No matter what you do for that man, you can cook, clean, or do whatever, for him, and at the end of the day, he won't care. He won't even appreciate you or even acknowledge you or the things that you do. And the half the things that he do, he feel like is the most things that he do, that in terms of being affectionate and things like that, when it's really not. Okay? So, not to really go off tangents, it's just that I wanted to elaborate and give a clarity on the fact of, when a person is committed to you and the relationship, okay? They're going to consider you and consider the situation and the circumstances and turn away from it, okay? Opposed to indulging it and getting involved into the situation and things get messy or things get out of control. Because what good is it to have a person that do them on the side, and then they come to the person that they actually love and they have a guilty conscience at the end of the day? What good is that? That is no good. A man or a woman that consider, respect their relationship, and the woman that they with, they know that that guilty conscience is, not something that's not a part of them. When honesty and truth is with them, okay, and when they are real, okay, so they just won't do that. They just won't cross no boundaries. Not because it's a choice that they just made, just a choice. It's because they respect the person that they are with to their face and behind their back, along with their relationship included. Okay, so that's just my outlook on that. Now, marriage in this day and time is just an agreed union, legalized and sealed under an oath that can always be broken by way of divorce. Okay, so a lot of times when people get married, that just basically means that they are able to live with each other. Yes, they have a love and care for each other. People marry for different reasons, as I said. You might have some men that will traditionally buy a woman out. Like, for example, you have some traditions where you either have the man that already have a wife. Meanwhile, this wife may not really really love or even know this guy, but they will buy her out just for the sake of, having a family name or whatever the case might be, but it's not really a genuine union. Same thing with modern day union. You have people that will marry for convenience. You have people that will come for different countries and come try to get with an American and get married to them just because they want to get their papers. That's not a good union. That's just a business transaction, illegal business transaction that's going on, but people try to make it legalized. Okay, that's not a good union. Okay, and then you have people that's getting together out of convenience, whereas everything is just domestic. They go off of things that's just domestic, things of, things that they like, either splitting bills with each other, building a family together, but it's nothing more than just that, or building something greater than just that, couple or that union or that family. It's just them. Okay, so this is, it's people marry for different reasons, and I'm not saying that it's not other than love, but the fact of the matter is that the whole marriage, thing of how things is set up, nowadays is just a typical mutual agreement. Okay? Now, when you have certain pure unions that are brought together, you have those types of unions is when you actually have the person connected to each other, mind, body, and soul. that is a pure union. Okay, it cannot be broken. Never do the person think about living without that person. Or there's times when people have, been together for so long, and they love each other to death, and they learn to cope with each other, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and sometimes the indifference. You have people that done that, and a lot of times older older you know you know, grandparents that were able to stick things out back in the old times. Okay, those were pure unions at some point in time. I know you might say that's because they tolerated certain things, but at the end of the day, they had staying power of being together and working with each other in partnership. Okay, so that's what's really important. Okay, and then divorce. Divorce is when two people that was once under oath are no longer under oath but have legal stipulations of spousal fees in terms of the separation of their union. So in other words, what I basically mean by that is that sometimes when a person go through a divorce because it be cheating, or they don't no longer love each other, or because of health issues, or whatever the case might be, what happened is that one of the both parties or one will have to pay the other person alimony fee, where they have to pay a certain percentage out to that person. If it's emotional, whatever, they got to pay them out for disturbance or whatever. They have to pay them out for that. These are the things that are at stake when divorce is. And even when you have people that try to throw curveballs, whereas they are still married but they're separated, you can consider yourself divorced. You can consider yourself divorced because you don't really have no connection to that person. You can't even communicate with the person that you are supposedly married to. So you can consider yourself separated and actually divorced. Not legalized, but you're not with that person. Okay, marriage to me is if when you have to restore something within your relationship, and let's say something go wrong in your marriage or something like that. That means y'all still under one household, but you can at least, like, if y'all have more than one room, one person go in one room, the other person go in the other room, to just restore that privacy in that space, and then y'all come back together in union. But you have people that don't do that because nowadays you got people that are selfish. It's about me, 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 me. I don't care how about this person, how they feel. It's what I say, it's what goes, And that's why a lot of times you don't get unions, you get people in relationships that are just temporary with an expiration date, which I'm going to basically explain, later on what I mean by that. Okay? So now moving along to companionships versus relationships. Now, what is the difference between companionships and relationships? Now, companionships is totally different between friendships. To me, with that word friendships, or with the word friend, you look at the word, you see end, where it's friendships that's meant to end eventually. But when you have true companionship, but in this case it's about union versus relationships, there's a difference. Okay, so relationships is basically about familiarity and commonalities that you have with a person of interest that you can relate to. Okay, and eventually over time build with. Okay, also along with relationships, some relationships always have an expiration date and means of condition of why it started and why it ended. Like, whereas you have people going back to boyfriend and girlfriend, they may not last forever, they may not last long, but they've gone through the experience, they've gone through different types of conditions, and different types of what have you. Okay, but at the end of the day, there's always a condition of why they got together. Condition can be that, I got with this person because they were attractive, or I got with this person because they were smart, and we vibed with each other, we had a chemistry, or they were my soulmate. And then when you talk about the condition of why it ended, oh, this person cheated on me, or this person did this, or this person had to go away to school or something like that, or whatever, there's always a condition behind why the relationship ended. Okay, so this is what I mean about relationships, on average. Okay, now when it comes down to companionship, companionship is when you can not only share the company of your desired interests, but when you can build a solid ground of communication that donates a strong mental connection that you have with the person. Okay, that's the most valuable thing of all when you're able to communicate with someone. That way, when you allow that communication to be open, you are free to not only share your true sentiments. I don't want to say feelings or emotions, but when you are able to share certain sentimental things with the person, and you're able to just carry on a quality conversation with the person, is a solid ground of communication. Okay, and then moving along to the other phase of companionship is it has a tendency to last longer than relationships, and it don't necessarily have an expiration date. You can have two people growing apart from each other, whereas it could be a huge gap where they ain't talked to each other for let's say 5 to 10 years, but the fact of the matter that they still had build up that rapport with each other, or that good communication, quality of conversation, communication, they are able to still come back together because their communion that they had with each other had never changed. Okay, so this is something that is really important when you are being involved with someone, is that you want to make sure that you at least have a companionship with the person, along with communication followed, and then agreed commitment between each other. This is how you can establish unions that are solid and unbreakable, okay, with the person, because you want to always make sure that you are always on the same page with the person. You don't want to ever feel like you're left in the dark about something, or you don't want to ever feel like the person can't tell you something because they either feel that you're not mature enough, or they feel that you might feel some type of way. You don't ever want that to ever be. Neither should the person ever assume that you are not mature enough to handle the conversation that that is liable to be presented. Okay, so now moving along to unconditional and limited love. And what is the difference between unconditional and unlimited love? Unconditional love is when a person can be with you and tolerate different circumstances and situations with you without placing conditions and reasoning of how you should be loved, or reasons to love you based on their conditional beliefs. Okay? They love you unconditionally, but it doesn't mean that their love is not limited. So basically what I mean is that they don't put conditions on how they love you or why they love you. But the fact of the matter, if they love had to be limited because of whatever reason, in other words, let's say you are in a relationship with a person and y'all just don't mesh with each other, or the person just keep taking the same offense of doing something that you don't like, and they just keep doing it and not regarding how you feel. Sometimes you got to love that person enough to let them go. So you putting a limit on that love, or whatever, how you love that person, not necessarily why you love them, but how you will love that person is being limited. Okay, now when it comes down to unlimited love, is when you are with a person that loves you for you. I'm going to say that again. Unlimited love is when you with a person that loves you for you. Not who you are, not what you appear to be, not what you can do for them, but for you. Okay? Unlimited love is pure love, whereas a person will love you even after you are gone or the relationship had ended. They will love you in spite of, they'll think of you years later down the line after y'all even, moved on with your lives. That is unlimited love. They will always love you the same. Like, I give you a prime example. You got some people that are, they have children in common with each other, and they got great communication with each other, whereas there's no discord or disharmony, but they got excellent communication. And they may not be together. They might be with different people, but the children don't feel like they lacking in any kind of way because of their parents being with different people. But the fact of the matter that you have that great or quality relationship with your your children's father or mother, it doesn't affect the child. And secondly, that love that you have for the mother or the father will always remain the same. It will always be unlimited. You don't love that person with conditions or conditions at all. Okay, so you just love them just because, not just because they your BM or your child's father, but you love them because you have a natural respect for them. Okay, and a good open communication. But now on average, a person will that a person love that is unlimited will never be interchangeable, and will always have a sense of loyalty that is unlimited. And usually when it comes down to unions, usually the person is connected mind, body, and soul. And even though that they know that the mind is a uni mindset and the soul is a whole soul and the body is just a vessel. So even in the time of y'all spending quality time with each other in the physical form, what happens is that being that y'all complete within yourselves, having a whole soul in a uni mindset, whereas y'all connect with each other mentally on the mental, high frequency. And you know that those two things, your soul and the mental part of it, can always be extended. You know that is a pure union. Okay, an example of unlimited love. Okay, when you can take that. Now, when you have a person that is incomplete, and when I say incomplete, meaning in terms of their soul, you have to have a whole soul and not half of a soul. That's why they say when people lose their souls to the three-dimensional world, they actually lose their soul, because they given all that, the essence of what makes up them who they are. So now you have people that can have half a soul where they not complete within themselves, whereas they cannot extend any type of unlimited love to anyone or any person. They cannot. They are limited in their capacity to love because they don't have a whole soul. Okay, they will have to link with different soulmates to complete that empty part of them. Okay, so this is something that should be considered when you are getting involved with someone, that you don't want to be with someone that has half of a soul. Okay, you want someone that has a whole soul, to whereas the love that they will have for you will always be unlimited and not just unconditional. Okay, a person with half of a soul will love you based on conditions. Okay, they will love you based on conditions, circumstances, or whatever the case might be, and that will be it. They can't love you past a certain capacity. Okay, and neither can they love you in the way that you need to be loved. Okay, so when you get with a person that is capable of loving you with the capacity of an unlimited love, that is a person that has a uni mindset and a whole soul. Okay, that is someone that you cherish, not someone who you take for granted. Okay, and you cherish each encounter that you have with that person. Okay, now moving along to conditional versus limited love. Now, I know some people are thinking, well, what's the difference between the two? But at the end of the day, there is a condition if you listen to what I'm saying. Okay, conditional versus limited love. What is the difference between the two? Conditional love is when a person can only love you or be with you under their conditions and terms. Okay? They don't necessarily love you. They love the idea of loving you based on their conditions and terms. Sometimes you might mistake their love as acts of affirmation and generosity, but it's really impure love and impure acts of love from that person. Okay? Because if a person can only love you on a conditional base of their terms or whatever the case might be, they don't really love you. Okay? And what are the signs of that person that have conditional love for you is when they treat you like a convenience, when they can only talk to you at a certain time, they don't make time for you, or they don't even include the fact that you have an idea or preference to do something. They won't even try to work with you about anything. Everything is just about them. Okay? So they treat you like a convenience. Okay? And then one of the things that they do, if they've been involved with you for a certain period of time, they will try to purchase things to compensate for their lack of love for you. Okay? That is not love. That is not love because someone buy you stuff or whatever. They don't necessarily even look at you as a person in union of love. They look at you as a property. Okay, someone who they can buy out, someone who they could just buy things for and feel that they can compensate for their love or say, I love you every now and then, and that be okay to them. That is not pure love. That is conditional love based on their terms. Okay, now moving along to more signs is that they don't really invest in the future with you. They may say, oh, we're going to do this. Oh, baby, we're going to do this. Oh, baby, we're going to do that. Or, baby, you should do this. Or, baby, you should do that. Or, baby, I love you. Or, baby, this and that, the third. And then they saying all of that to you in one face, in one breath. But then they turn around and doing something totally different and totally opposite from what they told you. That is not pure love. Okay? That is not pure love at all. Neither is it will make out a union from that. Okay? Another is when they don't really have a mutual interest in you without it being based on conditions that will benefit them in the end. So if it ain't about money, if it ain't about sex, if it ain't about a certain you taking me out, if it ain't about you buying me this or giving me what I want, for the women that are gold diggers, just as much as the men are gigolos, it's based on conditions. Okay, if you ain't doing this, if I'm not getting something out of it, then I don't want to be involved with you. They love you. They'll love you, wine and dine you and everything, do all those things to you, whatever. But that's all an act. It's not pure love. Okay, so this is conditional love. Okay, and that's not a love that you want from anyone or any person. It's not real. Okay, these are the type of people that will, cater to your fantasy of them. They will cater to your fantasy of them or what you want them to be, but then turn around, drop the ball on you, and you be like, what happened? Okay, so it's always good to be alert and aware of the people that you get involved with. And always take accountability for how you love the person. Don't feel, okay, well, I love this person. I just feel a strong connection, because that connection that you might feel can just maybe just an infatuation, or it can just possibly be that you just have a chemistry with them. You just have something that you have in common with them, a connection. You got to know that you are connected with that person mentally, soulfully and physically, like you enjoy each other's company. Okay, so this is what's important. Now, moving along to limited love. Limited love is when a person is not capable of loving you at all in the way that you need to be loved, or they just can't actively love you past the words of I love you. They are limited in their love capacity because deep down inside they know they are not capable of loving past a certain point of the encounter with you. Okay, their love is limited. Now, this is totally different from someone who's been involved with someone in a relationship and they made the decision that they love the person unconditionally, but how they love the person have to be limited and they have to love that person enough to let them go. That's totally different from a person that loves you with a limited love. Okay, whereas you striving for their attention, you striving for their approval and all of these things, you're trying to do all of these things, but they're not going to give you what you need. Okay, they're not going to give you what you need, and sometimes what you need may run deeper than the surface. Give you a prime example where you have women or men sometimes, but women mostly, always looking for love in all the wrong places. That love is misplaced, because it's either, a lot of times you have younger women growing up without their father figure, and sometimes they may fall suspect to getting with different men that cannot love them and not capable of loving them in the way that they need to be loved. Okay, so these are things, like I said, once again, to be mindful of when you are forming a union with someone or you getting involved with someone. Okay, and some of the signs of limited love would be a seasonal relationship, whereas the person can only see you on certain occasions. Once again, going back to convenience. Seasonal relationship, seasonal love. Oh, we link up one day or whatever the case might be, once a year, twice a year. That's it. That's limited love. That's not a love that can grow. That's a love that's going to be limited. And then when everything they do supposed to be, let's say everything that they do, let's say like they are involved with someone and they feel that everything that they do, in their private life don't really have anything to do with the person that they are with, which in fact in one degree is true, but at the end of the day, it's also untrue when you have the person involved with someone and they disregarding the person of how they feel, and let's say they get caught doing whatever it is that they're doing, whether it be cheating or whatever, or just doing something to just goes to show that betrayal is at hand, lack of trust is at hand, or whatever dishonesty is at hand, and they get, caught in the act of this. This example per se is, you have some people that would try to justify all the reasons why they do what they do, and that's limited love. They don't really care about you or the relationship. They might, try to tell you that they do care about it, but these are people that don't mind living a double life. They don't mind, spreading themselves thin. They don't mind doing these things because they really going back to the soul. They don't really have a whole soul at the end of the day. They really don't. Okay? And then they might have issues. Ego issues, complexity issues. This is why they will never be satisfied with a person, even though you could be doing all the right things to them or never did anything to them. They still find a way to do you wrong or do something wrong or not appreciate you or whatever the case might be. They still have a reason to do so. Just because of them, not just only being selfish, but just because of having that little complexity, that issue. Okay? And then when they continue to repeat the same offense or give you the reasons why they are not capable of loving you or allowing the love to grow between you two, when they keep doing that, or let's say you tell them, look, you tell a person in a relationship, look, so-and-so, I don't like when you do this or whatever the case might be. It makes me feel uncomfortable, or it makes me feel that you don't respect me, and they continue to keep doing it over and over and over, and they don't see no reason why to stop or no reason why they shouldn't change the situation. They just keep doing it repeatedly. That person is limited in their love for you. I know it's kind of funny that I kind of insinuated on the over and over. It's just something that never ends with them. They just constantly keep doing it. Like you might have a pathological liar that lies a lot. You catch them in the lie all the time, but they will lie to you continuously, and you like, damn, like when could you ever tell the truth, or whenever is the truth in you. These people could lie straight in your face and tell you a whole big lie, whatever the case might be, and have you believe in them. But at the end of the day, truth is not in them. Reality is not in them. So they try to distort the reality of other people of how they see them. Okay? These are people also that are limited in their love capacity. Okay? These 9 times out of 10, these people are toxic. These are toxic people. They're not looking to extend you or extend no type of union with you. Okay? And then when there's restrictions and caution based on love, it is also limited. Especially when you have those women that find good men after being through, dating a whole bunch of, guys that, relationships didn't go on right. But then you have that one guy that's like, he treats you good. He gives you everything that you need, or whatever the case might be. And you get with him. He's not even a good guy. He's a great guy. He holds his own. He do his thing. He got his stuff established and everything. And then you feel that either because of all the bad relationships that you had, you got to give this one good guy a hard time because, the stuff that you've been through in your past. That means you need to be by yourself. You don't need to be with no man. You need to be by yourself and go through a healing process. And the same thing with a man. If you have not healed, if you know that you can't give the woman that you are involved with the love that she needs, or even love yourself in the way that you should be loving yourself in a healthy way, and you can't love that woman in a healthy way, then you need to be by yourself. You need to go through a healing process. Okay, so this is very important. And especially when you have those women that's so high sedity and they feel like they learn certain things about a man. They learn that he got a felony or something like that. They are automatically looking at that man limited. Like, oh, he's a bum. He's this, he's that. At the end of the day, the same guy that you think that has a felony ain't nothing. He's a bum. He's a thug. He's this or whatever the case might be. You find out that he's owning his own business. He's running things. He's running franchises and stuff. And look at you. So you get into a relationship with him, belittling him, making him feel like he ain't nothing. But then at the end of the day, when he gets away from you, he builds a whole empire right before your goddamn face. Okay, so these are the things that are important. Okay, and if you have somebody that been with you and they sticking at your side when you ain't have nothing, and when you do get something, you don't just shit on them and act like, oh, you got your success on your own or whatever the case might be. If anything, you should be able to acknowledge them just as much as how they stood by your side through thick and thin. That is unlimited love. Okay? So with that being said, the broadcast has come to an end, and I thank you all for taking the time out to listen. If you should have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always come on Blog Talk Radio and put a question, there, and I'll be sure to answer it. Okay, with that being said, you all have a good night, and Mizek Aminun to all the Enrazin and Ruse of the Republican Mentellect. Thank you.
Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you.